Look, I'm sorry, a 15-minute lightsaber fight is not going to change the fact that the Acolyte is trash. And I'm
Now, look, if you had to ask me, I would say he's basically just watching Star Wars at this point to simply react, which, fine, but that's kind of a bigger problem now that we're having with all these Star Wars fans, right? The fandom has kind of become crazy. However, let's address some things. So, firstly, the canon's not really being broken. If the big focus is something like the Sith has been extant for millennia, well, first of all, not making an excuse. Number one, the whole show has really been pointing out how the Jedi have simply refused to acknowledge what's going on and they don't want their political opponents to know what's going on. So they've been very much keeping this on the hush hush and don't want to let it get out. So it's very reasonable that, hey, this is something that never was talked about. So he's not going to talk about that one time, right? So going into that as well, number two, Quimir was very specific that he has no name. When his helmet came off and Soul says, "What are you? Who are you?" He said, "I have no name. But if the Jedi had to label me, the Jedi might call me a Sith." However, he didn't call himself a Sith. So technically, not a Sith, right? Very blatant there. Now, I don't necessarily love where the May and Osha storyline are going personally. I get that's not really been a big, very well written thing. Some people may say. I don't think it's the driving force behind what's happening in the show. I think the larger story that is being told, if you've actually paid attention, is Master Soul has done something, these Jedi have done something that is so bad, whatever it may be, back in the 16 years ago, that is the driving factor because Quimir was like, "You don't remember me," to his Master Soul. So there's something bigger at play. They're just driving the plot. There's like a subplot going on there. Who knows what's going to happen? Maybe Osha becomes the Acolyte. Who knows? Now, as far as mind reading, you people are going around pretending that Master Soul is Professor Xavier, can just read minds on a whim. That's not the case either. They actually have to use their force powers. And I actually kind of feel like maybe Master Soul does know that May and Osha has switched. Kind of feel like he knows that. Quimir also was wearing a helmet to protect his identity the whole time. He was mad that his helmet came off. That's when he kind of stopped playing around and started killing Yord and Jeki, right? So that part right there, yeah, he's not just reading minds like he's Professor X. So that's kind of also a ridiculous argument. However, overall, the show still has a way to finish, and they're planning more seasons. They want to get more seasons. So I think there's more at play here, possibly Darth Plagueis. Who knows? Going back to the Night Sisters, right? Creating life from the Force, that probably is going to play into Darth Plagueis and everything that he did, and maybe Palpatine and creating life force. So, like, none of this is really breaking canon. Everybody just wants to be mad instead of just enjoying what's going on. You can have critiques, but some of these critiques are just a little, come on, let's take 2 seconds and think about the show. But that's my thoughts. Dude, if you don't like it, fine, but you're clearly just hate watching it to complain at this point.